All right, you there, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Very well, yourself. All right, so we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Today, another episode of Jordan Jitsu doesn't work. Today, we're bringing on Third Coast Grappling president Ryan McGuire. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Just trying to make it through each day without going crazy. It's getting to that point to where it's like cabin fever, tipping point kind of moments where it's like we're just stuck inside. Like, is this the new norm? If it is, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the kind of person who likes to get out. I mean, luckily, I'm super lucky. I live out here in the country, so I can get outside and do all that kind of stuff and run around
Yeah.
without having to worry about other people. But I miss the interaction, just like going to my favorite restaurants and seeing all my favorite people, and just going to the gym. And it's not the same on a Zoom meeting.
No, definitely not, man. Like I miss the training. I just miss living, man. Just like doing basic stuff, like going to the park with my family, or little things we took for granted that it's like, well, you can't do that now. So, but I mean, we're fortunate here in Houston. I guess things down here have been contained a little better than a lot of other places in the country, and they're talking about maybe reopening things down here a lot sooner, kind of as a trial run for other areas of the country. And if that happens, I mean, we may be able to be one of the first back in business in June.
That would be really awesome. Situation's a little different here in Iowa. It's like it seemed like things were getting like pretty well contained, but it's just the fact that like things take longer to get here. So the peak that New York and all them are hitting now basically is going to be still another 2 or 3 weeks for us. So it's like everything that all these other places are going to get to reopen, and I think Iowa is still going to be kind of shut down just because everything takes so long to get here, and then once it's here, it obviously runs its course and everything. But
yeah, it's weird, man. It's like I mean, this whole thing is really starting to decimate the country. I mean, you can only you were always an Andrew Yang guy. I remember always seeing you like repping Andrew Yang with his with his plans and stuff like that. And now that's what they're wanting to do. But I mean, do you think that's really the solution right now? Is just to pay people to stay at home? I mean, that's basically what's going on.
Yeah, it's difficult to say what the right decision is. I mean, you're dealing with 328 million people or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What works really well for one subset of people isn't going to work that well for another subset. So it's like it's really hard to find. I love the idea of universal basic income, but it's hard to find something that universally works well for the entire population.
So, I mean, would that be like a universal, like across the board, but you could still be employed, but you'd probably be tax heavier to, be able to have universal income?
So like his plan is kind of revolved around like implementing a VAT tax, which we see in like European countries and stuff like that. And in Europe, I mean, the VAT tax is something like 20 to 30%. The one he was proposing was about 10%, and it would only be paid by like basically by the big corporations, like the ones that would be benefiting the most from automation, because they're going to be the ones that are getting rid of jobs, right? I mean, over the next 10 years, so many jobs that humans are currently doing are going to be done by machines that are much faster, cheaper, more efficient, and they don't have to take time off. So machines can work 24/7. So eventually we're going to be looking at like a really different economy, I think, where machines are going to be doing the majority of the work that we didn't want to do as humans, and humans are going to, we're going to have to find something that allows us to find value in other areas of our life.
No, for sure.
Because the almighty dollar may not be the thing that we're fighting over in 10 or 15 years. So.
And for being someone like myself, I'm not really too tied up in money. That's never really been a big, like personally, and it's never been a big motivator for me. Like I've had money at a young age. I've lost money. I've had it again. I've lost it again. Like I've been in situations to where, that it's just money is important to live and to run, to basically live, basic functions. But I think people get too caught up sometimes in the actual, like the status and having this and having that. And I don't think that's healthy at all.
No, and that's something that this whole like process has kind of taught me, is just like what actually matters. And there's so many things that I used to obsess over or think about on a daily basis that now I'm just like, I can't even imagine wasting, my time or energy on those things, because I just, this whole thing has really opened my eyes to what matters and what doesn't. So.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's people out there like yourself. You're putting out great content with the chair stuff, and everybody's doing all these great things, man. And I feel like a scumbag. Like there were this, like when the event got canceled, it was like when you throw an event, like we talked about it on the podcast with Seth. It's like throwing an event is somewhat kind of like a drug. You get addicted to it. You get addicted to the crowd. You get addicted to the praise for throwing a great show. You get addicted to, like, even me, like the matchups. Like, I get off on that shit.
No,
like when I'm going in and I'm matchmaking, I'm trying to think of something real cool that hasn't been done or put a new twist on it, and it actually comes to fruition. Like that's something that may have even snake bit me a bit in the past. Like, we've gotten deals done, we've gotten fights done, and I've announced them a little prematurely, and then it's like, oh, they fall apart. And but it's like a drug, man. Like that, announcing the big fights, announcing the big, the big news moments. Even, I mean, it's all of it is a big deal, and I don't know, it's gone.
And yeah, that was something that I really latched onto when I was watching that whole podcast. I've got my desk set up here, and my bed's just on the other side, so I turned my laptop around and just laid in bed and watched the whole thing. But that was the thing I latched onto, was just like that feeling of like I said, it's a drug, that adrenaline, just like putting on events, like, the weekend of an event. A lot of times I don't sleep for 2 nights straight, and by the end of it, like you're almost dead, but like I love that feeling, and just like waking up the next morning and being like, wow, like yesterday actually happened. Like, I can't believe yesterday happened. I made that happen. And it was, obviously I have, people on my crew and everything that help make those things happen, but to be like, damn, I did that is super rewarding, and I'm definitely going to miss it during the time that I'm not able to do that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, but like I had taken almost a year off from promoting. Like, our last show was in June, and we were going to do another one coming up in May. I just needed some time to reset and like start to come up with some new ideas, because I felt like things were starting to stagnate, and I wasn't as passionate about it anymore. So I did that, and then I was super excited for this next one. We got like an awesome venue. It's like a theater setting with the stage and everything, and I was super pumped about it. But now that's going to be probably a little ways in the future, but I'm still looking forward to it. But
that was the worst part for me, was like, for 3CG4, that was like my masterpiece. Like, that was the card I put the most effort into, the most thought into. I mean, even just down to like I'm really detail oriented, like to minute details of the card, like where would this fight go? Where would this fight go? How would it maximize? What time in the night it might be? Like, I was just so obsessed with throwing like the perfect card. And then when things started, coming down the way they did with, the coronavirus stuff and then the cap restrictions on venues and all, it's just, we had some information ahead of the game, and we were able to try to get ahead of it to salvage something for locally. But in the end, like a Linkin Park song, it didn't really even matter. Like, cause everybody got canceled. Everybody was gone. I wouldn't have even been able to throw my show March 14th, even if we didn't cancel out of state flights. So it's like, that hurt. That one hurt a lot. Like, it made me like think like, why am I even doing this? Like, you cancel an event, people shit all over you. It's like I was like, I'm not doing this for like money. Like, you think I'm over here like saving a bunch of money or making a bunch of money doing this? Like, the margins are so thin right now as we try to figure out, the perfect balance and the perfect model and being unique and not just copying somebody else. I mean, we're losing our asses sometimes, and sometimes we're making a couple of $1,000, but none of that compares to the amount of time and effort that goes into it. So people think it's a passion project. So when people come out and they're like, oh, you're trying to fuck people over, you're trying to, you're hiding behind this and that and money issues and that. So what? Yeah, I'm a small business. I'm first year in the game. Of course I'm broke. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that even my broke ass company got more attention in 12 months than yours has had over 50 events and been around for 10 years. Like, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and people get jealous just real quick right off the bat, and they, like you said, they assume that promoters are just like making a shit ton of money, and in jiu-jitsu, it's just not true. Like, I've purposely done this, but I've never paid myself anything out of the business. It's always just reinvesting into it and hoping that we can do something bigger in the future. Like, it's not necessarily, a stream of income for me. And I don't really ever plan for it to be. I would love for it someday, but it's not, at the forefront of my mind. I'm going to do other things to make my money, and this is my passion, and I'm going to continue to put on good events because I like to, not because I want to make a couple of $1,000 an event or whatever it is.
And I mean, the amount of work and the amount of time and the amount of bullshit you have to put up with just to put on an event, like a couple $1,000, like, I mean, it's never about the money. If you get into the grappling business, if you get into the grappling promotion business with money on your mind as your first as your first motivator, you're going to be severely disappointed very quickly. And I think the way you make money in this business is you diversify. You do unique stuff. You find, partnerships with people that can help you get to a larger audience. And then eventually over time, you're able to, bring in more licensing dollars. Eventually you get bigger venues. You can bring in bigger live gates, and the bigger the live gates, the bigger the venues, the more licensing fees. That means the sport's growing. And if the sport's growing, I mean, that's great for everybody. So I think that's when you start measuring it, when the amount of money you're able to accrue, and you're like, oh, wow, look, even after we're running our base show, we're bringing in 20K. Whereas before maybe we were losing 20K or losing 50K, so I think it's a process. And I think if, we got kind of caught up early on just trying to just get our name in the game. That's what we did. Our second event was kind of like that all in push. Like, hey, we need there's so many events out there. Everybody was jockeying to be, the one that was going to break through. Fight to Win had been doing their thing for a long time. Kasai was all big and flashy and nice and shiny, and everybody's like, ooh, like Kasai, they're Hollis Gracie's super nice guy, and haven't really interacted with the other guy, but their product I was never a fan of really, and I can't say that about Fight to Win. And then of course EBI is like the ultimate for me, like when it comes to jiu-jitsu competition, like grappling, like competitions. That was always like the gold standard for me because when I was like, what I tried to do is capture the person that doesn't even train. And like with EBI, it was able to capture the people that were just UFC fans that didn't even train jiu-jitsu, and then turn them on to jiu-jitsu. And that's how, there's so many other ways to look at growing the sport rather than trying to pad your pocket. And I think if that's the way you approach it, I think you're approaching things the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always been interested in how you guys got started, and just the whole process with that, just because you guys did storm on the scene so like fast. I remember at the time I was putting together Subspectrum 7, which was like the biggest event of ours at the time. We had a local black belt who was pretty well known on the worldwide level, Matt Layton. And he was gonna go against Devontae Bones Jones, and that match fell through. But then Devontae talked to Tex, and Tex ended up taking the match. And,
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and we had some other really good matches on the card, so that was one I was super excited about. And then I'm like, damn, there's this little show showing up down in Texas. Like, I've never heard of them before. What the hell? They got Keenan Cornelius, like all this shit. So I remember asking like Jordan Holy, I was like, who is this Third Coast Grappling? Or they're like some blue belt, like some Gracie blue belt, like just knows how to work money and stuff like that. So I've always been interested how you guys got started and how you were able to make such great connections in the beginning. Like you said, you got your flow contract before you guys ever even had your first event. So I'm interested in hearing about how some of that stuff came to fruition.
All right, let me see if I can walk through it. I've been a little scatterbrained today. Been dealing with some other stuff, but so basically I went to an event, a local event, and I was I've been training for a little bit, been going to these shows when they came through. I saw a Fight to Win event when they came into town to do a benefit for Hurricane Harvey, which I think they made like 50 grand or something or something real cool like that for the victims. But I went to a Fight to Win, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, like the big thing, the way they had it presented, it was like, the loud music and stuff. I was like, this is really cool. And then it was like, I went to another local event, which is kind of like was motivated by Fight to Win. Like their models were very similar and stuff like that. But they just like, there was just something missing from it. And I remember being there, no knock on their product. They always, they did a lot for the community, and they built it up, and they had a lot of great, a lot of their talent that came up on their show, fight on our show. So, nothing but respect. But I had that. I think a lot of promoters might have had like that. Oh, I can do this I can do this.
Yep.
But my thing was more like, I know I can do this because I did it in music. Like I threw big music productions. I've been around some of the most talented musicians and like lighting designers and sound designers and production managers. And I might not have been one of those, but I knew the people, and I had such a vast network from, being out on the road touring, or throwing sold out rock shows here in Houston with just local names on it, like local bands. Like nobody would like, I just hustle my ass off so hard they think the next Linkin Park's playing, and I would sell out venues with like local music, and it was all booming. And so I always knew I had a knack. I was like, I know I can do this. So I started reaching out to I sent a message to about 20 people in a Facebook group. And I was like, hey, so I've got an idea. I want to start a a grappling promotion, and I want it to be themed around this and this idea. And so I sent it to 20 people, and out of those 20 people, 4 people showed up to the meeting at Twin Peaks. So it was me, Molly, our original fighter relations gal, Ben, and Zach, who is my current partner. Zach, he's our CEO, or kind of president, CEO, power share. It's just titles we got to give ourselves. We don't really look at it that way, but
yeah,
but he's so we showed up and we started kicking it around. And the thing about Molly and Ben is that they're brilliant. They were very brilliant. They played such a huge role early on in getting us off the ground. And Zach's super smart as well. He's a West Point graduate. He's an Army Ranger. And then there's my old dumb rock promoter ass. I got a degree of social work. I did a bunch of, I was in the military. I did my thing. But Molly, she was had a background in like from Brown University in chemical engineering. And then
oh, wow.
And Ben had a crazy degree in finance or business or something from Cornell University. And Zach's a West Pointer. So what I basically did was I got my smartest friends in a Facebook message, and I sent them a message, and I was like, hey, you want to try and do something cool? We all love jujitsu, so let's see what we can do. So that's what started it. From that day on, it was we call ourselves the Core Four, and from 3CG, from the beginning to 3CG2. After 3CG2, we switched things up a little bit because Ben and Molly, their jobs got a little bit too demanding for them, because everybody still had jobs, while they're doing this. This isn't like full time, hey, this is like something that's taking up people's time that they could be spending with their families and stuff. And we're pouring it in, trying to build this project. So we had that, I think our first meeting in August, and then by January, we were, 3CG1, we were on Flow Grappling. And I knew to get to Flow Grappling, I basically messaged every single person. So I went on their Instagram and I would see who they would tag in their photos or who would comment. And then I'd look at their Instagrams, and like a little creep stalker, I'd write down names, and I would have all their names down. And then, I'd write this message up about what we're trying to do and just really sell ourselves in like a quick blurb, like a message. And then before I did that, though, I reached out to Keenan and did the same thing and basically harassed him into submission. I mean, if you want to tap Keenan, just keep harassing him about something. Just blow him up. Don't let him up for air, because just harass him, and either he'll say no or you'll get it done. But you have to harassment is key. So I harassed Keenan. I'm like, let's do this. And he was the biggest thing. We owe a lot to Keenan Cornelius because he took a risk on a brand new promotion. Nobody never heard of us. We never had an event, and he was willing to come out and headline some weird new concept that we were doing up here and out in Houston. So it was cool that early on how he took that in, and then opponents kept changing, kept falling off, as they do. And then we ended up with Tex Johnson versus Keenan. And, it was amazing. We sold the venue out, probably more sold out than it's ever been in the history of ever. Like, they've had Papa Roach free concerts there. I mean, they had some of the biggest names in rock and rap and that play there. And it's never had a line like we had. It's never been as sold out as that event was. So we knew with the power of the Houston Jiu-Jitsu community, just how vast it is and how supportive they are, that we had something special, and it was time to kind of go on from there. But I mean, when we started building it, it was all rudimentary. I was on Upwork, hiring, Pakistanis to build me flyers, or I was on, we did it ourselves. Or I was reaching out to, old friends from my music days for help with, logo design. And, our original logo was done by a friend that I worked with on a local band here in Houston. And we were friends on Facebook, and I remember he did a good job back then. So I just basically had this network I had developed through my time in music, with production guys. The production guys, are all, top-notch level. They work at all the top venues in Houston. They know all the people. They have all the equipment. And we basically, we brought them as partners. So basically we're scaling and scaling and scaling. And the more after 3CG1, everyone was like, what the fuck? Who are these guys? And then people wanted to work with us, and we worked with some of the wrong people in the beginning early on. There's a lot of really flaky people in the videography business. There's a lot of people that like to shoot stuff, but when it comes to editing it, which is the real bitch, some people don't, let's just say they're not as tight on their deadlines as they should be.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm lucky to have a good guy. he used to tour with Slipknot and photograph them and do like their live streams and stuff like that. So like I'm super lucky to have him and his network. He's turned like a bunch of like 12 and 14-year-old kids, like kids of his friends, into like really good photographers. And so they work on a lot of our events, and I pay them and everything too. But yeah, but it's really cool to have like, not just like a bunch of professionals running around doing the promoting and putting on the work, like doing it just with, like you said, the core group of people that you've been able to put together over the years. So
and I think that's kind of like, I think that when you take an idea, because I was like, you know what? I used to be the talent buyer at Scout Bar. I'm still really good friends with Thomas. All I got to do is call him. I have a venue. And I had already been to the venue and already looked at it. I looked at the stage. I was like, oh, people are going to say it's too small. And that's what people have said the whole time. But I was like, coming from being a big MMA fan, but still am for the most part. But I always loved it when they would use the smaller cages for the UFCs. There was always more action, more like it pushed the pace more. So like my mindset was like, you know what, this small mat space, all this stuff, these gigantic platforms and these huge venues people are renting to throw them, these big, huge squares in the middle of a civic center or something, and surrounding it with all these, like the Fight to Win setup or the other guy, Submission Hunter setup. I was like, man, like there's so much money and space that can be saved by just going to a music venue. Or going to a place that's set up for that already, and then getting your mats and then setting it up in a way to set it up kind of like it's crazy because like at our events, I sell $1,000 VIP tables around the mats. So you've got like celebrity, like our last one, Mo Jossum, Michael Zinga, like Nicky Rod, all these people are sitting like mat side watching you, some of the biggest influencers in the game. And that's something that I tried to make special. Like, yeah, those guys are cool. The Michael's Zinga's great with Fanatics and Mo and everything they do. It was cool getting to know them, but just to have them there for the athletes, you know what I mean? Like the people competing to have those direct eyeballs on them where it's, the jiu-jitsu world is growing and it's getting bigger and bigger and it's getting harder to get noticed unless you're doing stuff to make yourself stand out. So to be on our stage, you're not just fighting for, just $200 in a medal. Like you're fighting for potentially, if you put on a great show or you impress some people, you're looking at a potential DVD deal or a potential invite to the trials, or, a handshake from somebody that can make a lot of things happen for you in the community. So that was something we have always tried to foster. And a lot of that just came from my background in marketing music, and in my partner, Zach, he's very, very good at problem solving and seeing and he's an engineer. So he sees things that, I don't see. So where I'm the impulsive, big idea, go getter type, he's the more reserved, quiet, analytical side. So we work well together on that end. But I mean, growing the event early, man, I was a terror to deal with. It was, I'm a control freak as it is with the way things is. Like when it comes to content, when it comes to what goes out, I'm super I'm very, 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 very weird about it, because what you put out to the public, like if I see somebody put out a shitty flyer for their event, I won't even pay attention. I'll unfollow them, or I'll do something like if I see somebody put a shitty flyer out for their event, or they have a misspelling, or they do these little simple stuff, like you're selling your product to the public and you can't even spell a fucking word correctly on your flyer, or it looks like a fucking 12-year-old with MS Paint in it. You know what I mean? Like you have to sell. That was the way we approached it from the beginning. We're like, we can do this, because in jiu-jitsu, for a professional sport, it was the most amateur shit I'd ever seen in my life in some ways. So I was like, and some of the stuff we did was amateur. We were learning. Everybody hated us in the beginning. Nobody wanted to work with us. They were like, who the fuck are these guys? They're coming in here taking away. I'm getting Seth Daniels fucking reaching out to my professors, like, who the fuck are these guys? I'm having to deal with shit like that. We hadn't even thrown an event yet. So I'll get to that point. So I kind of got off path there for a second.
No worries, man. That's what we're here for.
But no, I went to Keenan and finally got him committed to it and got the match. And then so when I'm going to Flow Grappling, I'm messaging all the big wigs. They got emails and Instagram messages. I just hustled and just shoved it down their throat. And I was like, Keenan Cornelius, because I know they love Keenan Cornelius.
Yeah.
And at the time, Keenan, and he still is the man. I'm super fan, but I knew that Keenan Cornelius and Flow Grappling, they're not going to allow a Keenan Cornelius match to go on unless they're covering it. You know what I mean? They're going to do everything they can to make sure that they can at least have an attempt to cover it. Because Keenan does big views on their website. So I knew if I dangled Keenan in front, they would come in. And so they were expanding, and I got a deal done, signed, sealed, and delivered before I'd even booked my card. I just had basically Keenan Cornelius and a great idea and a great video, a great sales pitch. And we were able to convey our vision really well to Ricardo and Howell and all their team over there. And it wasn't easy at first, man, like learning to work with those guys. We get in and we throw a great second event. We're like, man, fuck, like we're doing this. We weren't very happy with our current contract situation because, like I said, if they're giving you a contract sight unseen, product unseen, it's probably not the best contract, but it's a contract. You got your foot in the door. But monetarily, certain things, probably not what, you would expect, like you would want. So I go into Third Coast Grappling 2, and it was such a big jump from 3CG1 to 2 because our capacity doubled. The venue I went into was another partner friend of mine that I've been known in the music business for almost 20 years. We went over to Warehouse Live, and that's where I built my vision, like down to like walking the floor, like, hey, I want the guys to walk through the crowd, and then I want this archway set up. They have to stop the smoke, the lights. Like I wanted to kind of emulate a small time pro wrestling show with an MMA event, with a concert, and I wanted to kind of like just like throw it all together. And then, not let kids in, give away free beer at for the VIP table purchasers that never runs out. So like, we're just getting everybody hammered. We're throwing on great shows. I mean, like it caught on, dude. Like it was big, like 3CG2. It ran till 2 a.m. I mismanaged the fuck out of that one because I booked it. I just way too many
matches.
And at the time, me being a dumb blue belt promoter, I'm like, oh yeah, 20 black belt matches sounds like a great idea. And it'll run on time. And then pretty much every like main card match went to like overtime or like an overtime decision. And then I'm like, so I learned my lesson there. Like if you're going to put a bunch of matches on a card, don't do any more than probably about 10 black belt matches.
Yeah. So I think that's smart. And I'm going to rewind a little bit just because with this new venue that I was working with for our next event, like I said, they put on concerts there. It's an old high school that a church bought. They built like a 5,000 person sanctuary in it, and then the church went under and it sat vacant for however many years. And then this dude bought it, and now he's trying to turn it into like the second biggest indoor music venue here in Des Moines. But like, what were the biggest similarities between promoting music and then coming over to jiu-jitsu or like to grappling? And I asked that specifically because when working with this venue, they talked to me about how they don't have anybody to promote their concerts right now, and they had asked me if I was interested in it. And then coronavirus hit, and I was like, well, now I can't really do it, but it's given me time to start thinking about whether I actually want to when all of this comes back.
It was so similar that basically the way I approached, I mean, with them coming to you asking that, you could totally do it. The thing that caught my eye about you from the beginning is how well you marketed yourself. And when you're selling music or selling anything, it's all about marketing, because part of selling is, marketing is selling is marketing. Like you can market a product, but if you're marketing that product to sell, you need to make sure that you're doing things in a certain way that, that are exclusive to that industry. So if you're in the music industry and you're, they're wanting you to help promote shows, what you're going to have to do is just get in touch with who is going to see those shows. Like if it's like an emo band from like the 2000s, like a Hawthorne Heights, you can hit that 25 to 34 age range real hard on Facebook, hit them with Facebook ads. Everybody remembers Hawthorne Heights. You just got to know your demographic. And with grappling, it's the same way. And that's why we always kind of took that route with we wanted like the pro wrestling, like the real loud in your face promotion, making grappling great again. Like we wanted to just really be so obnoxious that people would be like, who the fuck are these guys? I really hate them, but I want to watch the show to see if it really sucks. And then they saw that, wow, it's just actually pretty cool. Like they're, or they thought we sucked and they never watched us again. Either or, but
yeah.
But
either way they tuned in.
Yeah. So the similarities between grappling promoting and music promoting, it was very easy because I just basically treat the athletes like I would the musicians, and I'm treating the stage as the same thing. I'm putting on a show, and when you're putting on a show, you're not just doing it for the viewers at home, because that's another unique challenge. Like I'd never thrown or produced shows that were meant to be viewed from an online perspective or from somebody streaming it or watching it on TV. Like I threw concerts that were for the live experience, the spectator. So when like you're at our shows, like the live experience is like nothing you'll ever see. And I've had the flow execs tell me that, like it's like literally being in like a shoulder to shoulder, like crazy boo sound, like rock and roll concert. Like it's loud, it's crazy. And, it's just the similarities. It's just changing your mindset and your focus. So I'm putting grapplers on the stage instead of musicians. Okay, well I know grappling just as well as I know music. I don't go into anything unless I'm passionate about it, unless I'm knowledgeable about it already. So my time in MMA, my time in the military, some basic jiu-jitsu exposure there, and then following it loosely, being at EBI 1 right off the hook fan, being involved, following all the blogs, the bloody elbows, and always watching ADCC because the UFC guys were doing it back then, more like that. So I've always been connected to it. And then, so when I honed in and started doing it and I got like addicted personally, like it changed my life. Like I started training and then I got better. And then I was like, well, let me do something cool for the sport. Like I love training. I bet you I'd love throwing a grappling and shoot. And then I went to that event. I saw his event and the rest was history. We started Third Coast Grappling, but yeah, I think they're interchangeable. And if they're trying to change that into a music venue, I think you've gone from selling T-shirts to coffee mugs to Kyocera, all this stuff. Yeah. You're gonna have no problem selling whatever you want. So yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities, and I think you can apply the lessons from like how people promote music, or even the WWE, like Vince McMahon and how they promote. I mean, it's fake, but my thing is kind of like I want to make our event like real pro wrestling in some ways. Like have like some of our cool, like the Royal Rumble idea we're gonna do. Like that wasn't just like because we knew we were going to cancel an event or whatever some dumbass said. Like, I'm going to do a fucking Royal Rumble. When we come back from this, there's going to be 10 fucking blue belts running down the damn alley into the mats trying to strangle the shit out of each other. Like, that's going to happen.
Hell yeah. That was something I was super looking forward to, just to see how it turned out. Like, something that hasn't really been done in grappling. I like those kinds of things, even if they seem gimmicky to some people or whatever. Like, I'm down to watch just about anything.
You know what, gimmicky and all that. We try to toe the line because we want to still be seen as a legitimate show, not the clown show that's just, but we still want, because we're like my point was saying, like with Flow Grappling, like you're entertaining the viewer at home. They're not really into, they don't feel the experience, the vibe, the pacing of the card isn't too important. Like the people that are watching it there that are actually in the building, it's important to keep them entertained because a lot of those people aren't practitioners. 100% of the people that are watching on Flow Grappling probably are people that train. People that are live in the audience, they bought tickets to come see their friends, their family. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like, I think probably 60 to 70% jiu-jitsu and probably 30 to 40% is what you would see like family, friends and stuff like that. And it's crucial that your live show captures those people. Because what I found is that our ticket's really easy to sell. Athletes tell us all the time, hey, when a Third Coast Grappling is coming around, boom, they fly out of my hand. But some of the other events that, that people go to in other states or in other cities or whatever, they say that it's so fucking hard to sell a ticket because they go one time and they have such a terrible experience. They're like, I'm not going to buy another ticket for that. And if they do, they buy and they don't go and they just do it to support. And that's not good. You never want that as a grappling event. That's something that you always got to keep in mind is those other people that you can expose the sport to who have never had it exposed to them before.
Yeah, and that's something I've noticed with ours is we must be doing something right because every single time the number of non-practitioners goes up and up each event. And our athletes say the same thing, that like they never have a problem selling 20 to 30 tickets a piece when, other shows are like, I can't even sell 3 tickets or whatever it is. But like there's this MMA, kind of an MMA promotion. They do brawls, so they don't have to fall under sanctioning rules.
Oh, man.
But it's like a Valor and Valor Ballroom. It's like this old concert venue where people used to get stabbed in the parking lot and just like nobody really wants to go there, especially now because they don't have any lights on the outside of the venue. Like it's just completely pitch black. Like there's this huge parking lot and then it's at the back of it. But like people go to those and it sucks because people almost don't know the difference between grappling events. Like if I go and do one of those events, in the past I would do them, but now I kind of think to myself, maybe I shouldn't because they're going to kind of associate that with my events, and if they don't like the experience they have at that event, they might not, they don't know the difference between Subspectrum and whatever the other grappling promotion is. So I've kind of had to think about what I want to involve myself with.
Yeah, and you got to be careful about who you work with and what you put out. I learned it all the hard way, dude. Like I had to experience it. Like working with the wrong people or overpaying here or, talking out of turn here or doing all these other things. Like I just learned by going through it because like, and I had a couple of people that were really helpful early on. Of course, my professor, he's been great, Brandon Mullins also, but then, like even Seth, like early on, like he would kick me in the nuts and then he'd come give me some great advice. It was like some weird, like some weird relationship, like
an older brother type shit.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. There were times that I thought I feared for my life with that guy. No, I'm just kidding. But no, man, it's, like to get back to kind of where your story was with like the origins with 3CG, like we got up to the Third Coast Grappling 2 event, which was such a big deal. We had an investor that came in that helped us, that had a product he wanted to launch, a CBD company. And so we just kind of packaged it together, and the guy even fought on the show. It was really cool. He went in there and that guy put on a better show than, shit I see on Flow Grappling all the time. It was nice. two 60-year-old men in there fucking threw down, dude.
Oh, and like, what CBD company is that? Are they still around?
Canex, yeah, I believe they're still around. Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, they're still around. It's just they're kind of like pivoting their focus because the market's getting so oversaturated with the CBD products. So I'm sure I don't know what they're doing, but yeah. They're a lot of this stuff, man, was like derived from our community. The people or the resources that work for us. Like we pay all of our staff now, but in the beginning, like everybody was just donating their time, people we trained with, stuff like that. It started to become kind of a labor of love. Like people were coming in and just, no, don't pay us. We just want to come help out. We want to be a part of it. And, having that kind of support, like that grassroots kind of support from people that were invested in it early on, it's only helped us grow because that's the way we've always tried to keep it. Is to keep it about, we don't want to get too corporate-y or glossy or, get too, I don't know. I always kind of like the underground feel of things. If you polish things up too much or it gets too, too corporatized, I guess, is that even a word? But, it just kind of takes away from it. Like what I liked about EBI was how just the alternative look of it. Like how, and Eddie was always a big content guy. That's somebody that I took a lot of inspiration from, was how his stuff always looks. Like he always put out super dope, like highlights, and the graphics was always looking good. And Eddie's like super involved with that. He's a musician as well. So I think it might have something to say. You're a musician too. Don't you play? Or
not specifically. No.
I got you confused. And there's somebody else. I think. No. Yeah. I got you confused. But I've been playing music since I was 13, 14 years old. Y'all are doing the Grappling Lord's work.
Thank you, Paycheck. Anthony Paycheck. He's a good dude from here in Iowa. We've competed against each other a handful of times, and he always gives me a lot of props for what I've done in jiu-jitsu. So I like that guy.
And fucking Iowa, dude. I'm sure like you're like probably the only guy out there. I mean, there might be others, but I mean,
yeah. There's as far as like actual grappling promotions, I think we're the only one. There used to be one called like the Sasquatch that was like around here, but I haven't seen them for basically since the first year I started training.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna be successful early on, know the numbers too. I mean, us, like I said, we got involved early on, and we had that big push, that all-in push for 3CG2 to get our name out there, market us, market the product. It was a huge success. Everybody was really happy. Our rules were a huge hit. People really like our rule set. And then, going into Third Coast Grappling 3 with Gordon Ryan and Bo Nickel, that was a record breaker, man. The biggest numbers Flow Grappling did probably outside of 80cc this year was our 3CG3 with Bo Nickel and Gordon Ryan. So to be so grassroots and working class, it shows you that, you don't need the $1 million backers, or you don't have to be a warlord from Chechnya. You just got to be creative. You got to be inventive. You got to be persistent. You got to work your ass off. You got to be involved in every aspect of your business. And then you got to really love what you're doing, because there are days where I fucking hate this shit. Like I hate dealing with the people. I hate getting up and reading somebody saying some dumb shit on a comment, or getting offended about something, or somebody messaging me because I posted something that offended their uncle, or it's like I get to the point to where it's like, is it even worth it? And our business, they were like, well, you've got to go be the face of it. I'm like, I didn't even want to be the face of the business to begin with. I was like, just let me work, let me stay behind the scenes. Put somebody else up there. I'm not even that attractive. So maybe put somebody up there that we can put up, stand up, and just, let them be the nice face of the company, and let my ugly ass just stay in the back. Let me work, be quiet, because all I'm going to do is get myself in trouble. But I don't know. 12 months later, here we are. Or what, 16 months.
Yeah. And one thing I was going to ask you about, you mentioned like the core 4 people, and it seems like you have a decent amount of people on your crew. You don't have to go through and tell me, all the different positions and stuff, but how many people do you have on your crew working now, in day-to-day operations, or, even just the day of the event?
I mean, day to day, it's just me.
Okay.
So I'm the only one going day to day. And then Zach and Lisa, my partner, Zach, Lisa, well, they're day to day. Lisa's a fucking workhorse. She's like I think everybody needs a good fighter relations, or like VP fighter relations, or somebody that handles, that's your buffer between you and the athletes, that is personable. Like Missy with Fight to Win. She's a little bit more prickly than Lisa, but but like you need a Missy, or you need somebody that's gonna, be out front, and that buffer between you and the fighters is very organized and good with contracts and good. So she's like my right hand. And then another integral part is having a great designer, a great website builder, people a great flyer designer, and I'm lucky, a great photographer. I'm lucky to have that in one person with Hassana Rule, a great videographer. My friend Justin Nava, we used to tour with 10 years, and some other big like Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and all these other bands back in the day. And he was in a very, very successful band himself. I think probably like 2012 timeframe. So, and he's great with the camera. So he's the guy that does all our edits, all of our content, because I think a lot of people, what they miss out on with these like Fight TV or these pay-per-views or like Flow Grappling, like you can't expect everybody to market your product for you. Especially when there's competing products on their platform, like with Flow Grappling, like they don't have time to give me the 2-month spread of marketing I need to sell out my arena, or to sell out my, sell out our venues.
Yeah.
Like they look at that the 2 weeks before the event, because they're trying to keep it fresh in people's mind, right before the event happens. So they're more focused on that 2 to 3 weeks before the event. Whereas our marketing standpoint's more of like a, 2 or 3 month long, especially for a bigger card, like a Gordon Ryan, Bo Nickel, because we're going to develop content and do all that other shit. But
yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was another thing. I don't write down questions or anything. I don't have them here. Things like pop up in my head throughout the whatever. But shit, I lost my train of thought.
Dude, I've been doing that. I did that like 4 times already. I just started rambling, and I'm like, what am I even talking about? Like, it's so fucking. I was talking to my wife before I came on this, and we were like talking all about serious stuff, like how the coronavirus and this. It's fucking losing our minds being in quarantine. And it's like, then you go to a podcast and you got to talk about Third Coast. And I'm like, fuck. I was just talking about how I'm about to lose my mind being in quarantine. I don't know. Yeah, I think I've lost it at this point.
I have a little bit. Luckily, I'm in a pretty positive environment. Everybody in my house has taken it in stride. And like I said, we can also all get outside. So that's definitely a big help. Where you're in Houston, right? Like actually in Houston?
I live on like a suburb. I live near the water. It's called League City. It's kind of like a suburb of Houston. Houston's so big, it's spread out.
Yeah.
But I'm more like on the southeast side of Houston.
South. So okay, gotcha. So yeah, that's like totally opposite of where I've been. I was like in Spring, Texas, I think.
Yeah, that's like way north. Like I live near the water, near the Gulf and the bays and all that stuff down there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was really happy I didn't have to drive all the way through Houston to get there. It was a tournament back when I was a blue belt, and actually, like the guy I met in the finals, we drove down together. I picked him up in Missouri, drove the rest of the way to Houston, and then we met in the finals in the tournament. And we had to drive all the way back. And there was like a fucking monsoon as we were leaving Houston. Like it was on the interstate, there's like a few inches of water. Like,
bro,
it's crazy out of nowhere too.
That's how it is in Houston.
Beautiful day, and then just, boom.
That's how Houston is. Like it's April, and it was like colder than it's been since like. It was super cold like 2 days ago. Like I walk up like I need a hoodie on and stuff. Like it's like April. Like we had a relatively like mild winter, so it was like I never stopped wearing shorts, which is what I love about living down here. Where in your land, y'all have to like be wrapped up like a fucking Eskimo to leave the house.
Yeah, there's always like a period of time throughout the winter where it gets to where it's like -30 wind chill, and like for 2 weeks you just you hate your life every time you to get up and go like start your car or even go outside for anything. What the hell? Why did I decide to live here? But there are a lot of things I like about living in Iowa, but the weather isn't always my favorite.
I've been to Dubuque. We went to what was it? That music. It was an old House of Blues. What the fuck was it called? The Knitting Room, I think, is what it was.
Oh,
I can't.
nice.
Yeah, that's what the Knitting Factory, or I can't remember what it was, but it was on the 10 years tour we came through, and I was like, man, it's so beautiful up here. One of my best friends, he lives in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. I just love that whole part of the country, man.
Yeah,
out there.
Yeah, Iowa's not bad. I like the fact that there's a lot of space. Like when people come here from like New York, or like we had some guys down from Montreal, they're just like, I can see so far. Like, in the city you can only see as far as the next building. Out here I can literally see the principal tower in downtown Des Moines, which is 28 miles away.
Jeez. Yeah, we have a ton of smog here, so you're lucky if you can see the stars at night. Like it gets pretty bad. But
that's the other thing I love, is just like I live out here in the country, so there's no light pollution or anything. I'll always like get out of my car and just lay on my hood and look up at the stars, and I think it's a good reset sometimes.
No, for sure, man. Yeah. So it's more or less just life just changing so drastically for everybody. Like I've talked about this with other people, but it's like jujitsu for a lot of us, helps us with mental health. It helps us with a lot of other things, helps keep our lives organized. It gives us a good, a physical outlet. And then when it's like just with any drug, like if you've ever been on anything for mental health or anything, like if you just stop something cold turkey, I mean, instead of being some weird experiences, like you stop training jujitsu cold turkey, you can't throw events cold turkey. I mean, it's just like, it's basically like we were just talking about, like a drug. It's just boom, been taken away. And now we're just sitting here kind of swaying like, well, like, so, and unemployment's at the highest it's ever been. Well, I can't. Well, so it's like, what the fuck do? You just sit around and you do podcasts with each other. Yep. And we talk about how crazy it is, or we physically assault, living room furniture. It's just
got to keep ourselves busy somehow. Like I'm actually surprised at how sane I've stayed, because in the past when I've taken like longer breaks from jiu-jitsu, I kind of did go crazy, where like I get like more angry, I'm more agitated and frustrated easily. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a positive environment, or if I'm just keeping myself like distracted enough with all the shit that I'm doing, or what it is. But I've taken it a lot better than I would have expected. Obviously, it's not ideal, but I'm proud of myself for not going completely crazy yet. It's been literally a month since. Yeah, over a month now. It was like March 12th was the last time I was on the mats, like with my kids' class and trained and everything. And man, I miss the kids. They're a big part of what I do and why I get up in the morning. So
yeah, we last time I trained was when Flow Grappling was at our gym shooting content for 3CD4. So I think it was like March 9th or 10th. So I mean, that's the longest I've ever gone since I've started training. This is the longest I've ever gone without training right now. So it's it's an adjustment. Everybody's doing all these online courses and all this stuff, and I'm like, look, I didn't get into jiu-jitsu to do it on the internet. I would join Gracie University and get my blue belt, that way. Like I do it because I like the contact, the aggression, the putting the hands on the people. My hands, getting so damn tired from grips, from just it's just not
squeezing shit.
Yeah,
men like to squeeze shit.
Yeah, so it's like. Taking that away, you got the one side, you got the grappling promoting, you got the one side, the jujitsu thing, and it's like, man, you just took two of my favorite drugs away. Like, what the fuck? And then you're gonna try and scare the shit out of my family and me, telling me that this virus is gonna blow past the Spanish flu, and now it turns into the seasonal flu kills more people, and it's I don't even know what to think. Like I went from one side of thinking all the way towards now. I'm like, come on, like. Contain where it's at, keep at the hot spots where the people where shit's really bad, take care of like the pockets and little clusters. But in middle, like Iowa, how bad are you guys? Like how many cases do you guys have?
I think there's like 1,500 confirmed cases, something like that in the state.
Out of
53 or 54 deaths. So it's like super, super small right now. Like I said, we're still like a few weeks from our peak, but they even say on like, our peak date, and I'm not trying to like downplay death or anything like that, but on our peak date, it'll be like 15 to 17 people a day that'll die. And it's like, yes, that's bad, but yeah.
But no, look, they can say, I don't know. It's just more people die from other things all the time. And I know it's not contagious, but like suicide and like all these other big things, like there's more people offing themselves right now that are dying than from coronavirus.
Yeah. And it's like, because I see both sides of it, like the side where we need to be super careful because I have like super bad asthma. If I get it, like it's probably going to be a fucking battle. And
My wife's got it
who
too.
knows,
Yeah.
like, it could be the end for me. Like I have really bad asthma. I've been in the hospital like plenty of times just for allergies or little things like that, I had to be intubated and my oxygen levels are below 80%. So like I those people that are laying in a hospital bed right now and they can't breathe from the coronavirus. Like I've been there. I know exactly what that's like.
And
I didn't have the fever and all the other things that go along with it, but I know how terrible that is. That's hell. So oops.
Dude, I've got a huge heart for it. For a lot of people on our team, one of the original core four, like I told you, his wife was one of my main people I talked to about what our decisions for our business, along with the health department and stuff like that. So like I have a big heart for this stuff. Like it sucks that anybody's dying from this, but what the biggest thing is the damages it did to the economy. That's the stock market's going to bounce back. Everybody's wait. This is like the Big Short. Like they shorted everything basically. And then as soon as they're like, we're back open, it's going to be, oh my God, it's the biggest bull market ever in the history of it's the biggest rebound. Like, no shit. Like you literally just shut the country down. And so what do you expect to happen? Like the stocks are going to soar. Trump's going to look great. The coronavirus is going to suppress the voter turnout. He's going to get reelected because they picked Joe Biden to fucking run against him. And it's just, there's more to what's going on than people are talking about. And I'm not a conspiracist that much. I enjoy conspiracies. I like reading them and laughing at them. But there's always a little bit of truth to some of them. There's like always a little bit of something, so like this whole like Wuhan Chinese laboratory thing, they let it out intentionally and all that. I don't know about that, but I think maybe there was a containment issue at the lab that may have had it accidentally escape into the population, or it could have, like they said, mutated from their wet markets. But however they weren't honest with us from the beginning. They probably could have saved thousands of lives if they would have been more, forthcoming with what happened.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at with it too. Like I think some conspiracy theories are good, but sometimes they go too damn far. It's like they want it to be like this crazy, like you said, the New World Order and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that there isn't some type of like, people in the world that do make big decisions. There obviously are, but I don't think it's as organized as some people think it is.
Well, like they said, it's like the Bilderberg group that they get together and it's like the top most powerful people making all the big moves. Like I bet there is conferences of these big CEOs and these big rich influential bankers and these people from Goldman Sachs. Of course. I mean, these people run in the same circles. I mean, there's very few people that have that kind of money. So it's like it'd be like in jiu-jitsu, like it's a very small community. A lot of people know the same people. So I'm sure as a millionaire, it's a very small community, or a gazillionaire, it's a very small community. So they're going to get together and they're going to do whatever the creepy old fucks do. And whatever, let them do their thing. They want to sacrifice a goat, whatever. Like I'm sure it's not really like I don't care. Like whatever they want to do. I mean, you see
as long as they're not beating women or fucking kids. But
I think
apparently that does happen too. But
I said that exact saying to somebody. I don't know if it was you, but I said to somebody, I said, you know what? I can deal with a murderer or whatever, but if you fuck kids or you beat women, I will fucking go to the depths of hell to like ruin you like in ungodly ways. But that's funny.
I actually picked that one up from my photographer. Always says that all the time. Like he's with this. Like I said, he's the guy that used to tour with Slipknot, and he's like 47 years old. He's got tats all over his body. Like has had a pretty rough life. He's just fucking had it. That's why I said him and Seth would have a great conversation. They would never stop talking. I don't think.
No, Seth would never stop talking. Dude, Seth was a great interview, and it was super cool of him because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Stupid drama that a lot of people don't see that we were dealing with in relation to different stuff. And I made peace with a lot of people. The Gordon Ryans of the world, we're all good. We're going back to business. We're getting back to work whenever we can get back to work. And a lot of this stuff, man, was just a lot of miscommunication. And my thing was just to stay calm during all of it, speak logically, and just try to show and just lead and just, when you get emotional and super defensive about stuff, I mean, you're usually full of shit, right?
Yeah. So it's so difficult to converse, like to to communicate with people through like text or word form. Like that's something I just like, I discovered it in, my personal relationship with my girlfriend. But it's like anytime we had a serious conversation via text, like it always got misconstrued. There was always a miscommunication. It's always turns into something way bigger than it needs to be. So like I've started doing it more now, but like I'll send audio messages to people.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go.
Matt Kaplan used to always blow me up with audio messages, and I was like, "What the fuck's this guy doing?" But then I'm like, he lives in New York, and he probably doesn't have time to fucking sit there and text. And then I'm like, wait, this is a way better form of communication.
You know what? That guy was talking like mad shit about us, and I got told by a lot of people, and then. You're the third person to hear me tell me about these manic messages, voice messages. A guy from Jiu-Jitsu Times, I did a podcast with, was telling me something. But no, Matt, actually, I reached out because like me, I want to keep it cool. Like, you got a fucking problem with me, let's talk. Yeah. And we talked it out. We cleared our misunderstandings up, and he just seems kind of, I don't know, kind of just like a boisterous asshole New Yorker that thinks he knows everything. And whatever. No. Like, he's not hurting anybody. He was harmless. He's not hurting anybody. Let him throw his show. Let him talk his shit and whatever. Cool, man.
Yeah. And and I have to respect the fact that, he's always going to speak what's on his mind. And I like people like that because you can get things out there a lot easier with those people. If people are holding things in and they're not telling you things, you can't really approach the problem. When somebody's just forthcoming and they say what's on their mind, whether it's right or wrong, you can approach that and figure out what the miscommunication is, what the problem is, and you can resolve it. I actually prefer people that are like that open their mind up.
I won't keep passive aggressive people around me like that. Like everybody around that I know that's in my circle is direct, like to the point of hey dude, you're getting fucking fat. Like, stop eating fucking Twinkies. Like I want people around me that are honest, that are always telling me the truth, but also lifting me up as well. Like I just need people to check your bullshit sometimes. Yeah. And for me, I've always tried, because there was a time in my life where somebody tried to use like maybe something bad I had done over my head, like to try to extort me or to do something, So I learned early on that if you've ever done anything bad in your life, or if you've done any dirt, we're all human. We've all fucked up. But if you own it and you put it out there and you just let it be, nobody can hurt you. And that's the way I've always approached it. I approach things like when people are coming out with these bullshit news stories with all this stuff, I'm like, I'm fully transparent. I was like, if this goes that next step, I am fully prepared to pull out my fucking records and make y'all all look like giant public retards for even like questioning, the coronavirus conspiracy that was going on. It was like, but I just kept it cool and calm and collected. And I think that, and kept it direct with the people I was dealing with. I mean, people were saying some crazy shit to me, and I kept it calm. I never got emotional. I told them, I'm like, what do you want from me? I'm canceling my fucking event. Why are you cussing at me? Oh, now I'm a bitch. Like, what? Like, how does this work? Like, why are we interacting like this? And I think, like you said, as a community, we all turned to text-based communication, right? Everyone's like, cool, texting, this is so much more efficient. But when the screenshot became even more efficient, that started fucking people over, like to girlfriends, to this, to that, because people are in the digital age. They don't have that same level of, I guess, connection to the conversation or the person as they would if it's a face-to-face or if it's a conversation that was had on the phone, because it's easy to send that text and then archive it like you never happened, or it's easy to do this and delete it, or it's easy to do that, or it's easy to screenshot this and edit this and make it look like somebody meant this when I think that's the biggest breach of trust that you can have is actually doing that. So going back to what you're saying about the voice messages and all that, I do it. I used to make fun of the Brazilians because that's all they would do. They would just WhatsApp me through, and speak it and that way. And that's how I do business now. Like, you're either going to talk to me on the phone or you're going to get a voice message and we're going to talk it out, because I'm not going to have any more, of that. Cause that's where a lot of our issues, I think, stream from is like jiu-jitsu businesses. Why the fuck are we running our businesses just through Instagram and Facebook Messenger? Like, yeah, we send contracts out and stuff via email, but email is such an antiquated like art now. Like, half these guys don't even check their emails.
I hate it, dude.
And then trying to get contracts signed, I'm serious, is like trying to get Trump to shut up about what something like to get athletes to do basic things. It's difficult. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's been it's been just an experience being in this industry that I never thought I would see, but I love it. I'm in it. I'm not going nowhere. I'm ready to get out of this shit and throw the biggest fucking show people have ever seen.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I can't see myself doing anything else at this point. Like there's nothing even on the horizon that makes more sense than what I'm doing right now. So, passion's always been something, at least, since I was about 20, 21 years old, passion's been something that drove me. Cause at the time I was trying to like climb the ladder at a fucking retail store and become a manager and all that shit. And it's like, one day it just hit me. I was like, dude, I fucking hate this shit. And I quit the job. Well, actually I told them I was going to go to San Diego for 3 weeks, and they said, because I had the vacation time, I could use it if I wanted to, and they told me I couldn't. And I said, well, I'm going anyways. And they're like, well, you may or may not have a job when you come back. I'm like, okay, I don't care. Like, and so I went and stayed out in San Diego for like 6 or 7 weeks. At the time, they had like it was called like a BJJ hostel. It was just this house that some jiu-jitsu guy owned, and they rented out like 2 of the rooms. One room had 3 bunk beds in it, so there was 6 guys roomed up in like this like little. It was like it used to be the garage of the house. So like in the mornings it would be like 30 degrees in there, and it was fucking, but overall it was such a good experience just to get out there and just be completely on my own for 6 or 7 weeks. Like no clouded thoughts of what's going on in my family or what's going on in my shitty work life and all that stuff. And
for sure,
that's where I was able to like figure out that's where I came up with the idea to do Subspectrum and to do more things related to jiu-jitsu, because I was like, well, this is what I want to dedicate my life to. Like I want to wake up every day and have this be what I do. So
and me, like I want to do more, but I don't really like teaching that much. Like I've done the kids classes and I've done that. Like I enjoy teaching, like if I have a technique I like or whatever, and a friend asks how I'm doing it, like I don't like that, but I don't like actually like the act of teaching. And I know that about me. So like me in jiu-jitsu, like I had to find more value and ways to give back. And that's kind of also was a motivation for Third Coast Grappling. It's like, I know I don't want to be a teacher or own a school one day, but I do want to, contribute in some way, because it literally did save my life, man. I was a fucking DWI fat. I'm still kind of fat right now, but DWI, drug addict, fucking piece of shit there for about 3 or 4 years of my life. I lost it there. I had some PTSD issues from the military, some a TBI, some other crap that, I didn't know how to deal with it. And so I went off the rails there, got to over 300 pounds. And then finally, it was like jiu-jitsu, 30 years old. I turned 30, started training jiu-jitsu. The rest is history. You know what I mean? Like jiu-jitsu did have that effect on me. I found, I would not probably be married. I wouldn't be functioning, doing anything near what I'm doing now if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, because I can feel the hole it's leaving right now, just not being able to train. Like life is kind of just like,
yeah, it's just blah. Like, I always, I always look forward to going to the gym. Like I said, the kids class is something that I really enjoy doing. But yeah, fuck, I miss it.
Yeah. And I think, man, hopefully this thing will, I don't know how you speed up a pandemic or whatever, but I'm just tired of sitting around the house. I'm ready to get back and put my hands on somebody or do something, or at least start planning a show instead of talking to all these athletes about hypotheticals. Like that, it is what it is, man. It's we're going to come back retooled, revamped. We're going to be doing things a little differently in the interest of sustainability, because the whole fucking market and the whole economy of jiu-jitsu of the world is going to basically be changed. Yeah. So we'll see how it is on the other side.
Yeah. And I think you have a good mindset about it. And I think we're going to come out the other side of this, and we're going to be better off than, not saying better off than we were before, but we're going to be all right. Like we're not going to go away, where I think there's a lot of other, a lot of other promotions, gyms, whatever it is, they're going to struggle and maybe go by the wayside. But
and that sucks. But sucks. I mean, if you weren't prepared as a business, what's good for us is we were able to have a lot of lower our overhead is pretty low. So, it's when we bounce back, it's not going to be too bad. I mean, we have debt at the house right now that we're all taking care of, but from this last event, but it is what it is. We have everything taken care of. So what's up with are either of you doing something that fills that gap that this pandemic has caused? We're doing it right now.
This is one of the things for sure.
I mean, we're doing our thing right now. We're doing podcasts. I have my own podcast. You know, I think just putting content out, you know, giving some people something to look at or enjoy that isn't about the coronavirus. I mean, we talk about the coronavirus, but we're not, you know, having a ticker of deaths running across. You got a ticker about, you know, subspectrum BJJ across the side. So, yeah, I mean, what we're doing,
I'm squeezing chairs and throwing them around the house and doing pro wrestling stunts and skits. So that's what keeps me going. I think it's the pro wrestling mindset that I've kept like throughout this that's kept me a little sane. Because when I was a kid, I didn't have jujitsu, but I would always do pro wrestling around the living room with my brothers and that
Same
kind of
here.
shit. So
Same here.
I think like as silly as it sounds, like acting like a pro wrestler, running around the house, jumping off the couch and shit actually keeps me sane. As much as it might look like I'm going insane, I think I'm actually staying sane because of it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, my weight class right now, it's probably best I'm not jumping on furniture. So, but it does sound fun. I would love to just go have a total like. I don't think the wife's into it, but no, man. I mean, it's been cool. Like, I mean, a lot of people in in the community have done things to kind of to try to fill the gap. I mean, there's a lot of high level guys that are giving out free content. Fanatics is giving out free DVDs. I mean, a lot of these athletes are doing a lot of free stuff. Free classes. I mean, I think like Josh Leduc was kind of the one that made me realize I was like, all right, stop being a lazy fuck, get up and stop being a lazy ass and do something, you know, because, you know, for him being as young as he is, the guy's been in the game, you know, longer than probably Seth or some of these other guys. Like I think he said 6 years. So
that's crazy. So yeah, since he was like, I can't believe he's only 25. So he's been doing that since he was like 19. That's awesome.
He looks like Chris Pratt at like 45. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but no. Josh was a cool dude, man. There was some weird issues there for me and him at first because like there was some weird stuff that went down with some of the people down in Florida and some stuff. So, and I didn't know where he fell, but he's always been a solid dude to me, and we've always had good conversations and stuff we've talked about hasn't leaked out. And you know, he's not one of those drama starting pricks that sending screenshots to everybody. So. Yeah. So you know, I trust him as much as I can, but I trust in this industry is a very you gotta know who you're dealing with. Just
I think that's probably true for any industry, really. But
and anywhere, just deal with the person. Like, I mean, what's your interaction with? I mean, of course, people that hate me are going to tell you I'm a terrible person, you know. So like, don't use other people's impressions of people or what they tell you to influence how you see others. Like, try and see them for yourself. And then see if there's any credence to those rumors and then move on, you know?
Yeah. Well, and people want everything to be so black and white. They want to be like, oh, Ryan did this one fucked up thing. He's such a piece of shit asshole. Like, oh, Jordan, you like, I remember a match that like the decision didn't go the person's way. And they like made this big thing about how I conspired with the referees and I was like giving signals during the match and all this shit. I was like, what? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, you're making up all these crazy like things to make yourself feel better about the fact that you lost. So it's like there's people out there that are, no matter what you do, they're going to try to find something to break you down for. And even if you did mess up, as long as you own up to it, I don't see why people can't move on from those mistakes. We let, you know, people that are sexual abusers and murderers and all these things come back out into society. Why does a grappling promoter that makes one mistake get blacklisted for the rest of his life?
Because Helio was perfect, guys. Helio Gracie was perfect. And that since Helio is our godfather in jiu-jitsu, we cannot make a sin. We cannot sin. Yeah. We must be sinless in our pursuit of the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. No, dude, but like it's so stupid. Like, I'm like, these people that sit there, like I got bent out of shape because this is the first time I've literally ever had anybody like, and then like come at me like that with like complete horse shit. Like I literally sent the editor, my attorney had a cease and desist in that fucking editor's email inbox in like an hour. And then I had and the hour later, the guy had like a 9-page email from me with evidence and screenshots and this and that, just proving his whole fucking article. I'm like, dude, you need to get better sources or people that aren't such biased sources. I think as a journalist, I think there's sources, there's reliable sources, and then there's unreliable sources. And usually the unreliable sources are the ones with the bias or the ones looking for confirmation bias in relation to what they're writing about. You know what I mean? So if you want fair and balanced, you don't go to Fox News, like even though they say they're fair and balanced. Like people, if they're telling you they're fair and balanced, they're usually fairly and balancedly full of shit. So,
well, and even the way that article was written, it was like there was no like absolute information. It was like, yeah, this guy said that like this
anonymously,
thing happened. It's like I read it and I was like, I mean, maybe there's a story there, but like I just don't see it. It seems like somebody's reaching here.
It was a hit job, is what it was.
Yeah.
Like it's what it was, and everybody in the jiu-jitsu, basically the people that I consider journalists that I talk to, I have a great relationship with most of the jiu-jitsu media, but they all said they never would have printed that story. So it just shows you how flimsy it was. And it was the motivation behind it. And look, shit happens, man. Like it was a whole different environment back then. People thought coronavirus was bullshit. They thought that, the post substars mentality, everybody's getting fucked over. A lot of those athletes were on our card, so they were feeling fucked over. People involved with those athletes are like, oh, I got to look out for them. I got to look out for the athletes. So then that shit starts. And the next thing you know, I'm apparently substars, yet I've paid out $300,000 in fighter revenue, and I've never not paid an athlete ever.
Yeah.
And I can say that because there's not one athlete that can come out and say I never paid him. So and that should be the end game here. That's what we're playing. I mean, those guys didn't pay a fucking soul. They canceled checks to 16-year-olds. Like, how do you like you profit off or whatever you did? How do you exploit a 16-year-old? So it's that stuff came out. It was just whatever, man. It was like fairy tale. It was like fairy tales. It was basically, it sounded like a bunch of weird, bitter jiu-jitsu people that got together and they, that had been waiting for the moment for us to stumble, and they wanted to come in and give us a nice swift kick in the sack. And all they did was wake me up. That's all they did. Like, oh, all right, something to fight. Everything was fine for a little bit, like now I've got to fight again. And that's something that I enjoy doing. So, I mean, if people come at us, we're going to defend ourselves. And I think that's how it is. Everybody is, or for the most part.
Of course, most people aren't going to lay down. If you are, you probably aren't somebody.
I made it a point not to share the article, not to even say their name during interviews. Shouldn't. And I didn't share it. I didn't mention it. I didn't give them any attention because that's what they wanted writing a provocative article like that. They wanted us to share it. They wanted it to start a shitstorm. They wanted it to be all public so they could get the clicks and the views and all the extra shit. And I was like, motherfucker. This isn't my first rodeo. You're not about to get me to fucking do your job for you. Why don't you put out quality content? Why don't you do your own fucking marketing? And why don't you write real articles that people want to read and not just make up shit? So that's kind of where I was at with all that. I'm like, yeah, wrong guy, because I will sue your ass off if you write dumb shit about us.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be frustrating. Just like I've never had that, like anything that big where somebody wrote like an article that was just a complete hit piece about me or anything. But
me neither.
Even like the little like things that people would say or do or be like, I'm never sporting that again because of this happened or whatever. Like that would get to me so bad. So I can't even, somebody wrote an article about me, I might fucking start plotting to kill him or something.
The thought went through my head. But dude, the thing is, is the guy who wrote it's not a bad guy. Like I've had interactions with him. He's a good journalist, but I think he was being told by his boss probably or somebody to say, hey, here's the assignment, go write this article, 6 months of research, this and this. It was just so dubious. Like my thing is here, if you're going to fucking comment about somebody in the jiu-jitsu community, don't hide behind anonymous sources. Either fucking man up and say it with your chest and say it to me, or don't say shit at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And then don't get mad when and then accuse me of, I'm not going to get into it, but I'm just saying, if you're going to talk shit, say it as a man. Don't hide behind anonymous sources and hash your shit out privately, not publicly. Because you know what? My most engaged and most liked posts are not drama posts. Those are our most less liked, less shared. Nobody gives a fuck about promoter drama. No one gives a fuck about promoter athlete drama. They care about jiu-jitsu. They care about good vibes. They don't get on social media to feel like shit about themselves or to hear some petty, dumb argument,
Yeah. So, and if they do, they should probably do some soul searching and figure out what the hell's wrong with them that they enjoy that shit.
Yeah. So that's why I moved away. I moved away from it. I'm like, I could get on here. I mean, there's so many posts you've probably seen. I'll delete that shit because I'm like, fuck. Like I go back and forth and then I'll get hit. Somebody will come at me and I was like, you know what? It's either I have to go all in and I don't have the skin thickness, to deal with the shit talking because I'll blow my top and I want to drive to somebody's house and kick their fucking door in. Like it'll piss me off. So like I don't have my skin's not thick enough to like some others that can be as brash and boisterous as I've been. So yeah, I'm good at promoting and being the big loud guy, but I don't like being fucked with. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to ease it back a little bit. be a little bit kinder, gentler, not have to be so aggressive and so much, and just chill out, because that's my natural personality anyways.
Yeah.
Not this enhanced promoter version, acting like Donald Trump in jiu-jitsu, like, or whatever. Like, it was so ridiculous. We planned some of these marketing things. We had a graphic that was Donald Trump with his fist like this. Man, Ben, the guy I told you about, made it. We were just sitting there drinking a beer. He made it on his phone real quick, saying "Making grappling great again." And dude, oh my God, every time I would post it, people would love it, but it would piss off so many people too, and we'd get so many unfollows. And I would just post it, just keep posting it. And I loved it, because I'm like, people are getting so fucking pissed off at this article. And then the old school, like, jiu-jitsu guys, what are you doing to make this grappling great? I've been doing this for 20 years and I've been here and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, settle down, dude.
Man, do they not get what marketing is? Like,
I'm like, and some of these jiu-jitsu guys don't, like, that's all they know is jiu-jitsu, Yeah. That's all they fucking know. So no, they don't know it's marketing. They think I'm being serious. So it's like, I'm like, dude, like, relax. Like, I'm trying to sell my product.
Yeah. And like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just certain like things come off a certain way, but I never take anything too seriously when I see it online, just because I've had so many conversations with people that, like, I thought I knew who they were because of their online persona. And then we have a one-on-one talk, or, we do a podcast like this or something. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're nothing like what I thought they were. Like, that's all a shtick just to sell tickets, to get promotion, to get eyes on the product. Like, and yeah.
You've got to market, and that's the thing that's how we saw our rise. You asked how we grew so quickly or got so much. It was all marketing, man. That's like my thing. Like, I know what makes people tick, because for a time in my life, man, I wanted to be, that popular person or this or that, or I know what I wanted to be, the cool guy or this, or that. So, like, there's like, when you go through college and you go through these psychology courses and you learn about human behavior and abnormal psychology and what makes people tick, and then knowing the sport and knowing how people are reacting to certain things and posts. And I mean, we look at everything down to, like, the analytics of, like, how many likes is this post getting, or how many is this, what kind of post was it, like, is this engaging? Like, we're looking more into it than most people would. And I think that, like I said, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see.
Yeah. And one thing I want to bring up about analytics, because I've been getting shit a lot this week. People are like, oh, guys that make TikToks. Like, I literally post all the same fucking content that I put on Instagram. I just put it on TikTok. And I will say 57% of our online merch sales from the last week came from TikTok bio link clicks. So fuck you guys that are talking shit about TikTok. Those guys buy way more shit than you guys. So
I think all the articles about, like, TikTok being for pedophiles or something, like those articles that were circulating. I was like, I don't know if I want to go on there. So I'll stay away.
Well, it's okay. So it's all based on what you watch the most and what you click like on. So if you're getting a bunch of 14-year-old girls dancing, it's because you've spent more time on that screen watching 14-year-old girls dance and liking 14-year-old girls posts than anybody else. So
that's so
me, I jump on there. I see jiu-jitsu content. I see, for whatever reason, I did that video of me, like, kicking a soccer ball, and now I get a bunch of, like, trick shot soccer stuff. So it's like, it's all based on what you're putting out and what you're actually watching and liking and spending the most screen time on. So for all those people that are like, it's for pedophiles, like, hey, that's
they're searching
that's a reflection of you, bro.
Like, they're searching 14-year-old girl dancing. Like, yeah, that's so fucking gross. But
I'm gonna make a clip out of this one, because
like, what was that movie with Inglourious Bastards? Yeah. I wish, instead of hunting Nazis, I could put together a team where we could just go do that to pedophiles. I'm talking the whole thing, like, cracking their skulls with baseball bats, like like impaling them with fucking, like, pick irons. Like, I would just, man, that's what I need to do right now. Take me to a pedophile right now and let me strangle him unconscious until he stops living. And then I think I'll feel a lot better about things.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
But no, like, I think about that type of stuff. I'm like, they have, like, these Avengers unit online. Like, they're starting to take, like, disabled veterans, and they're giving them, like, these jobs where they're going after online predators. Like, they're getting the specialized training and stuff like that. So that's big, man. Like, I think we got to protect the children. But it shows you just how, like, the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. By the way, Epstein didn't kill himself, but that rich perverted motherfucker, dude, like, that just shows you, like, it's everywhere. It doesn't matter. Hollywood, I think it's even worse, and probably people even realize.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of the conspiracies I'm fully on board with. Like I damn well that shit happens.
And
like,
the Scientology shit and all the weird stuff they got going on out there. It's just like,
yeah. And if it's 5 people, it's 5 people too fucking many. So it's like if it's happening at all, I'm pissed about it. Like,
but you have the church, the Catholic Church, where it's basically widespread and it's covered up. Like watching that. I mean, that was something I got really into when that came out, because I could not believe it. I'm like, how are these fucking preachers and these pastors like doing this to these kids? Is this real? Like, is this like a conspiracy? And I'm like, and then that that movie came out that did like the big expose on the Boston Clear. What was it? It won a bunch of awards. News something. I can't remember it.
I can't remember the name. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about though.
But man, like just how widespread that is. So you can it's just there's a lot that goes on that we're not aware of, and it's probably best that way.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have like the president's job where I have an idea of what's going on across the entire country, because I couldn't manage that mentally.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, just my time in the military and doing the little shit I did, just being overseas, not being able to talk to family for extended periods of time, going to remote areas, the crazy shit that goes on out when you're at war. And not being able to talk about it. I mean, it's just,
yeah. And for it to be kind of like, I don't know, like if you come home and start telling those stories, like most people don't want to sit there and listen to you. So it's like, that's got to be difficult.
Nah, and then you have like a security clearance level where you can't literally talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
which would be even worse.
Yeah. So
you can't even tell your wife or anybody. Like,
yeah. So it gets weird, but I don't know, man. It's been a good chat with you, man. What you got going on the rest of the week? What's Jordan Jiu-Jitsu? I know you're not working, so what are you doing other than working?
I'm just putting together more and more. I'm putting together like an online like curriculum for all of my kids classes and like my competition team. So I'm trying to put out content, whether it be like I'll do a discussion post where I'll write out a bunch of notes, or I'll record a video of me just talking about like a concept or a philosophy in jiu-jitsu, or a solo drill workout, or I've literally been filming videos of me working on the chair and being like, hey, if you got a pillow at home, like you guys can be drilling on this. Like, I know it's not optimal, but at least you guys can still keep yourselves moving and do something to fill the days, because there's a lot of fucking time. I realize, like, especially like my window faces the east, so I wake up with the sunrise every morning, as long as there is one.
Could you imagine if you went to one of those campsites like Chatterbait or something? Because I was telling a funny joke about this on the Fight to Win thing, because my idea for like a post-coronavirus like event was to like take like the camp. I was never into campsites, by the way. This is just something like, but to take that concept and let people tip and give you money while the two competitors went at each other so they could make some money, So that was like an idea. But I was going to say, what would be funny is you could just go on there and do chair drills, but go to like the ones where like all the perverts are and just do drills on a chair. They click on Jordan Jitsu channel and they just see you.
Not a bad idea.
No, I'm just joking.
Hey, I'm down for anything. I'll sell feet pics. I don't give a shit,
dude. Feet pics are where it's at. That's easy work. Like,
create an OnlyFans account.
How many women do you think that have been propositioned for like I'll give you $1,000 for your feet, that are like, fuck this. All right.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think like Tom DeBlass said he's gotten like messages that are like $250 for a picture of your feet right now. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I could say no. I don't think I could.
Man, like Keenan and Josh Hinger tell the story on Matt Byrne, but it finally happened to us about Luka Judo, about the guy that like he hits us up now asking us to find him like strong guys to strangle him for money and stuff. And like, it's like really weird.
Yeah.
But
I've never interacted with that guy specifically, but anytime I put up one of my like scissor choke videos, I'll get like 3 or 4 dudes in my DMs that are like, oh, I want to feel your giant thighs squeeze my head and all this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
thanks, man. I appreciate it. That camp tipping idea, though, is something that we may do. We just got to see what the capacities are going to look like for when things do go back to normal, like what they're going to say about public gatherings and this and that. But that is a big idea to kind of offset the cost, because if we can't generate the revenue by having, a large audience or a large gate, maybe we can leverage our licensing fee with, having fighters also have a chance to be tipped by the community. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to work, but that's something that I definitely want to move towards. So, because it's like, well, if we can't, monetize on our end, well, let's find a way to monetize on your end, take a small percentage, like 10, 15% of whatever's taken in. Fighters keep the rest. We keep it rolling. You know?
Yeah,
it's an easy bit.
It's something we've talked about too, and probably most grappling promotions or concert, promoters, anybody that's kind of in the same industry is probably thinking of something along those lines. It's like a lot of the conversations me and you have had today are almost identical to what I have with my photographer Mouse. We just get high and have conversations like this.
What's this high you speak of? Like you climb up to a very like a high spot in Iowa, or
we take bong rips?
Oh, I might have to. I don't know who's watching, so I can't say very much. But I do too. Yeah, I enjoy. I might have to have a safety meeting after this myself. So
absolutely,
we'll see. Well, all right, man. Well, thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate it. Anytime you ever want to come on out to our show, you have an invite, and then hopefully we can do some co-promoting and find ways to push each other's products. And I'm all about good vibes, man. Like I fought a lot of people this last year. I had to fight a lawsuit. I had to fight promoters. I was just fucking fighting everybody, and it was very hard to get out of that mindset. It was like being like stuck. Like I was fighting for like 6 months, and now like things are thawing out, and people still are wanting to fight about shit. And I'm just like, I'm done. Like I'm done fighting, man. I'm done. Like none of this matters. None of it fucking matters. I don't care what you said back then. Like it's all forgiven. It's all a clean slate. Stay the fuck out of my DMs with drama, and let's just do let's just throw cool events when we can and keep growing the sport, because it's on us, dude. Like the sport probably is going to lose 20 to 30% of people that train over this. I would imagine like a lot of new white belts or people that were on fringy and, that were already on the corner. These schools are going to lose that revenue just right off the top. And then as promoters, we're not going to have the turnout maybe because of the virus, because of suppression. You're going to see it on voter suppression, but jiu-jitsu people are different. So I'm going to make the prediction now. When we do come back, I think we will sell the event out still, because I think jiu-jitsu people are different like that. They're going to want to support, something that's coming back like that. But
I think our first event back is going to be our biggest one yet. I just have a feeling.
Yeah. So I think when it's time to get back to business, I think it's going to be, a big deal for everybody. But yeah, I mean, we're all about good vibes here, man. A lot of people got, I'm just the type, man. Like, don't fuck with us. We won't fuck with you. Yeah. Like all we're doing is selling our product, talking shit, building up our product. When I say I'm the greatest event in the world, it's not a slight at your event. When I say that my card's the biggest card of the year, I'm looking at other cards. I'm looking at my card, and my card is biggest. And I'm saying it to sell the card. It's not a slight on you. Like people would get so offended by some of the marketing, and I'm like, I'm selling my product. Like when somebody sells you a new car, are they going to be like, yeah, it's a nice silver color. Yeah, the wheels on it are all right. Yeah, They said it was best in class, but I think that was 2 years ago. Like there's
a place down the street where you can get a better one. Like,
but you might kind of get ripped off. But like the humble promoter is such a fucking like misnomer. Like a humble promoter. Like how can you be a humble salesman? I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure they're super crafty. But to be a humble grappling promoter and an industry full of people that says their egos are crushed, when in reality the whole fucking industry's egos are gigantic. Like it's so full of shit. So it's like, just do what you think is right. Like the music thing you were talking about, like it's transferable. Like you can do music. Talk to your friend that was in music that did the stuff with Slipknot. And ideas that he might have too behind promoting and marketing. And you can take a lot of the same tactics, like the guerrilla marketing tactics. I mean, going out to a local tournament and just sticking fucking flyers in the window, that shit works too. Yeah. Like still getting out there and pounding the pavement. But the most important thing you can do is just engage the local gyms and just give them good opportunities and do what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate you, reaching out to me and making the connection. We've had a lot of good conversations since then. I really enjoyed this one today. If you guys want to check out tonight, Ryan's got a podcast, 3CG Radio, 8:30 p.m., right? Central?
Yeah. We got Brian Cushing, and a former NFL All-Pro, and Edwin Najmi, the kid.
Yeah, so, I got that run across the bottom, so you guys can check that out. That's tonight. That'll be a good one. I'll definitely be tuning in for that. I'll probably do the same thing, turn my laptop around, just lay in bed and listen to that.
All right on, dude. Yeah, it'll be fun, man. Like I said, we're getting away from the drama, away from the bullshit, and just trying to focus on helping people, getting back to our families and when it's showtime again, though, I guarantee you, we'll be right there throwing badass fucking shows with badass fucking matches and building badass fucking moments for the sport like we always have. So that's all we can do. Man.
Awesome.
Right on, dude.
Thanks again for jumping on. We'll see you later, man.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. All right, guys, that was a really good episode. I enjoyed that with Ryan McGuire, Third Coast Grappling president. Like I said, they've got that podcast tonight with Edwin Najmi and former NFL linebacker Brian Cushing. So you guys can check that out at 8:30 p.m. I believe that'll be on the Third Coast Grappling Facebook and YouTube channels, maybe just the Facebook, but check out their channels, check those out. Right now, we've got the Kyochera Challenge shirts and the Social Distance Warrior shirts available. I'll throw up a little banner for those as well at the bottom. We've got shirts, tank tops, women's tees, mugs, some hoodies even. And you can get that all at subspectrumbjj.com/shop. And I'll pop up the brand, the logo here for you guys at the end so you can see what it's going to be like on the shirt. And if you guys want to check that stuff out, I mean, you can buy it today, but I'll let you in on a little secret. There's a 10% off sale that Teespring's given me Friday through Sunday this week. So I'll have a coupon code for you guys, and that'll kick off at midnight tonight. So if you guys want to support the podcast or myself or Subspectrum in general, you guys can head over to subspectrumbjj.com/shop. We've got some cool merch up there. And let us know what you guys want to see. If there's something that you guys want from us, if it's a hat or headband or bandana, maybe masks, I don't know. Let me know, and we'll do our best to try to find somebody that can make them for you. So thank you guys again for listening. I'm going to pop up a few ads here at the end and call it a day.